Trauma robs the survivor of feeling safe within themselves and the world around them, and often replaces a feeling of safety with feelings of fear and anxiety. When a survivor experiences flashbacks, it often creates more feelings of being unsafe and out of control in their minds long after the trauma has occurred. Establishing safety is the first stage of recovery because a survivor needs to have restorative experiences that will help them gain a sense of security and autonomy. Without establishing safety, the survivor won't have the resources and environment needed to support them through the second stage of remembrance and mourning. Establishing safety will be unique for each survivor based on their experience and needs. For me, when someone helped me understand that it's not about what was wrong with me, but what happened to me, I was able to start shifting my perspective of myself and the world around me. When I was able to see myself not as worthless, but as a person with value, it helped me feel like I was worth being protected and experiencing safety.
To me, safety is both tangible and intangible. Being adopted at a young age, it was really difficult for me to feel safe at home in fear that I would be brought back to foster care. That feeling was extremely difficult to overcome, especially having to rely on other people to provide a safe place for me that I could tangibly feel. On the other hand, safety is much more difficult to find when it's your own mind that you're afraid of. So I went to lots and lots of therapy, and I still go to lots and lots of therapy. And in my opinion, safety is so important because it's the foundation for all of your other emotions. If you can first feel safe, your other reactions won't be so haywire. Whereas if you're feeling unsafe, it's more likely the rest of your emotions will be defensive and reactive.
Remembrance and mourning allow the survivor to integrate their traumatic experiences into the bigger picture of their personal history. In this stage, the survivor grapples with, mourns, and reconstructs the trauma memories. While trauma does not always result in physical loss, it always results in psychological loss. The safety established in the first stage is vital for supporting the survivor through the second stage, which has no set time frame and is based solely on the needs of the individual. For me, remembrance and mourning has been about making meaning out of my experiences and making sense out of my past. The trauma I experienced shaped the way I view myself, others, and the world around me. Re-examining those events, thoughts, and beliefs allowed me to start shifting my view of the world closer to the way that I would like it to be.
Remembrance and mourning is definitely the hardest stage for me. Because I think that there's such a fine line between remembering and forgetting. And I think the most important part to acknowledge when going through this stage is understanding isn't just about remembering the good, but it's also remembering the not so good. In my experience, forgetting is one of the most feared outcomes that a trauma survivor can deal with. So survivors in this stage need to remember all the trauma that they've gone through and mourn it appropriately in order to process it and grow from it. For me, being able to process the loss of my dad was about remembering his love and his integrity and his spirit, but it was also remembering how traumatic his death was, and how difficult it was for me to watch him pass away. Sort of like remembering and mourning my boyfriend was remembering our relationship, but also remembering him dying and me seeing him in a body bag. So it's definitely a double-edged sword when you're processing trauma, but fully remembering and mourning a trauma can be the most refreshing thing that a survivor can do.
When the traumatic memories are no longer intrusive and have become part of the survivor's larger life story, they enter into the third stage of reconnection with ordinary life. The energy and resources that have gone to managing traumatic memories can now be used for creating the life that the survivor desires. The ability to reconnect rests on being aware of three things: acknowledging they were once made a victim, understanding the effects of that victimization, and owning what they have learned on their healing journey. This stage is an opportunity for the survivor to create the life they want and reap the benefits of the work of the previous stages. Many survivors connect with a community or cause larger than daily life, which often provides a deep sense of meaning and purpose. For me, Playing instruments and writing music has helped me begin to reconnect with my ordinary life.
I think the biggest challenge with connecting back into ordinary life is recognizing that as a survivor, your life stopped when your trauma happened, but the rest of the world didn't stop with you. So reconnection back into ordinary life is about finding your place in a world you've been so removed from while you've been processing your trauma. But at the same time, reconnection is super fulfilling for a survivor, knowing that you're able to move through life day to day instead of being stuck inside your trauma. Reconnection is definitely different for everyone, but for me, it's knowing that who I was before each of my traumas is not who I'm ever going to be again, but pulling pieces of who I was into the present and creating a new beginning. Reconnection gives way to a fresh start where you're free to grow without the restraints of your past.